Welcome to the new Peak Monsters rental system. I am going to go through the steps of using rentals if you are a renter. I will also be doing an explanation of listing cards if you are an owner of cards that you are not presently playing with. First of all, I am in an account that has quite a few cards, so we're going to use that to list a bunch of cards. The best thing to do for most owners that want to rent some card is to use the bulk view, which is under this arrow here. Click on bulk view and then you'll see all of your cards, where these filters will become very important. Now, to find cards to rent, you cannot rent cards that are already delegated or that are on the market for sale. So let's hit no and no. And I do not want to rent cards that are already rented. So you cannot rent out cards that are already rented. You would have to delist them and then rent them again. For example, if you want to change the price. All right, another thing you can do is sort by BCX to see perhaps the highest level cards first. All right, so now we have a decent amount of cards here. We're going to select multiple. On the Splinterlands.com website, you can select one at a time or multiple of the exact same monster. We are going to select them and then go up to this part in the top right hand corner and select rent. You can change the prices individually, just like you can on Splinterlands, or we have one bulk listing tool called YROA. So that means that we take the expected value of this card based on its level, using a figure that Splinterlands has given us, the low BCX rate, and then we figure out what the DEC would be for this yearly return on assets. So I'm going to say something like 18%, and then it will default all the prices for you. There is a minimum of 0.1 DEC, and we will confirm. That minimum comes from Splinterlands. All right, we are listing quite a few cards. You can select up to 1,400 cards to list all at one time. Now, every transaction is 140, so you will have to sign for 10 transactions. If you have chosen to use the active key transaction, then you will have to sign for it 10 times. If it's the posting key, then you will likely just see them happen naturally. There'll be a queue, and then after a little bit, they'll all be done. All right, we are going to look at what we have done just to give you an example of what is possible for owners, and then we'll move over to the renter side of things. So I'm going to say for rent, I have tried to rent out. Let's see here. Okay, I have listed 16,000. Well, if every one of my rentals were to be rented out, I would get 16,500 DEC a day. Basically, I've rented out $41,000 worth of my cards, which, based on what I have selected, what I have chosen, would be $16,500 DEC a day. So far, with the market being up about 36 hours, I have already got 2,800 DEC rentals a day. One quick way to see which cards those are is to select rent and also delegated. So you know that these cards that I'm trying to rent out have already been placed. They've already been delegated to someone. So here they all are. And I have 328 items that fit these filters, which means I have 328 items that are being delegated, rented out to someone. One fun thing to do here is that these columns can be sorted, so you can see which are your really low rental rates and which ones are your really high. So there are 3 cards that are over 100 DEC a day at 13, 14, 15%. Now, one interesting thing for both renters and owners is that you can change the URL on pinkmonsters.com so that you can look at other accounts. So we'll go to the founder's account. He listed late yesterday, so his cards haven't been on the market as much, but he is already up to 2,400 DEC a day. He has listed a total of, well, he's renting out 56 items, so quite a few are higher rate items. I'm renting out a bunch of small rate items, and we need those small rate items. We need them very badly, much more than the max level cards. All right, for rent, he has listed 4,700, and only 56 of them have been rented, and yet he is already at my rate of earnings daily. So he has just a lot higher level cards, but he has 4,700 of them as well. So one interesting way to go and research, it looks like everything was listed at 24-ish%. All right. So where should we go now? Over to show you how to rent cards? I think so. For both owners and renters, all of these level filters will be very important. So if you would like to look at your own collection, which we'll do that again, go back to my collection of cards. If I wanted to rent the 1 BCX, the level 1 cards, maybe I have a different rate in mind than the non. So again, I don't want to do cards that are already on the market or already delegated. Those cards would not work for renting. And I don't want to select the cards that are already for rent. So maybe I also want to select legendary, all my legendary cards. So here we go. There's not a ton. There's 65 level 1 legendary cards. We're going to go and choose, scroll down to the bottom and choose something like 9% and confirm. All right, while that's doing something, we're going to log out of this account and log into an account that plays with rental cards. And this account plays only with rental cards. So we are going to go to the collection and show you that of owned cards, there is nothing. Of rented cards, there are 184 cards being rented with a power worth 246,000 DEC. And I am renting for 277 DEC a day, roughly 27 cents, 28 cents, playing in the silver league. So you could play for easily, and this is just one person's scenario that I tested out myself. I was playing for about 4 cents a day in the bronze league, and you could easily play for 200 DEC a day in the silver league, but I just got a lot more legendary cards. So it was a little bit better of a deck because I want to advance through silver and get to gold league. All right, so how do you rent? Well, you could go to the market, you could choose rent, and you could see the cards come up here. Well, there's none of those cards available. Oh, let's see here. Let's go to the rental. So maybe don't use the market right now. Go to the rental specifically, and you will see the cards available. All right, now you need to decide what you want. And one of the things you probably want to do is look at rarity by rarity. So legendary all at the same time. And you'll see how many are available here in this number right here under rental options. So there are no ancient leak, gold foil versions. And now one of the most important things to do is to use the low price sorting mechanism. So the cheapest legendary is 0.32 DEC a day. And so you could rent that if you are interested in a level 1 legendary card. But let's say we're not interested because we are in the Silver League, which allows for a level 2 legendary card. So the cheapest is 1.5. The next would be a Chromatic Dragon at 2.5, and then a Poseidon maybe at 3.5 would be something interesting. Actually, that's something I'm interested in. So we're going to click this button right here, and it goes to the shopping cart, and you choose the amount of days you would like to store DEC, set it aside. I should say that every rental is the protocol will pay for your rental every 24 hours. And after its payment, it will be unbreakable for those next 24 hours, meaning the owner cannot take it back, and you could stop renting, but you will still have it up until the 24 hours is done. But you can store extra DEC in there for a certain amount of days. So we're going to store just 1 day of DEC. That is perfectly acceptable. You can store up to 365 days of DEC, and that would cost you $1.30 to store all of that. Now, that just means that you are storing DEC in this escrow. You could take it back at any time and stop requesting that rental. Also, the owner is not required to rent it out to you forever for even the amount that you store in the DEC. Again, it is a 24-hour unbreakable contract. You will be delegated that card for 24 hours. And if you two are both good to go for the next 24 hours, the protocol will keep paying. And we'll keep paying. And we'll keep paying as long as you have money stored in that escrow. So I'm going to do 1 day. If I want to rent it again tomorrow, I'll come back in and rent it again in 24 hours from now. But maybe there'll be a lower price card that I'm more interested in renting. However, I am in Silver and will be moving to Gold League. So I will no longer want a level 2. So my goal is to only rent it for 1 day, because tomorrow I will want a level 3 for Gold League. So you can see already how much better the new rental system is. And it is decentralized, meaning that the protocol that operates this will work on any site that enables services for it. And that includes Splinterlands and Peak Monsters. Splinterlands if you want to do one card at a time. Peak Monsters if you have multiple cards and you want a lot of tools to help with pricing, tools to bulk list and to bulk buy, tools as a renter to know if it's a good rental price, basically a lot of things. And also to see which cards you aren't renting anymore. It just things to help you quite a bit. All right. And to see which cards you're already renting so you don't rent another of the same card. So I just rented that card and I'm going to hit the refresh and it will show up wherever it is in line. Remember, I have it sorted. So now it's going to be down here somewhere, if I can remember what I actually was renting. All right, one trick that I did was I sorted by name. If you have a particular card you know the name of and you want to get to fast, what I just rented was the Poseidon. So we're going to go to Poseidon. Yeah, there we go. Level 2 at 3.5. So these were my level 1s that I did for Bronze League, and then some level 3s. So there we go. We're going to go back to price, and we're going to show you that it really differs rarity by rarity. Now the cheapest that I could get is 1.5, 2.5, and it quickly goes to 4, 7, 18, and some of them are in the 50s and hundreds if you get gold cards. You can also filter just by non-gold cards. So the most expensive is this Cambio Sacred Mage. So these legendary summoners are very expensive. We're going to go to the epic cards and show you that they become substantially less expensive for the epic cards. So, but the same level or silver level, you would want a level 3. So in reality, they are decently priced. The Spirit Shaman is a very good deal right now for a moment because I'm about to rent it. So never mind. So it's just good to go in here and look for deals for your account. You find low-level price stuff. You say, yep, I'll play with that. And then you have 2.5 being the next thing that I don't have. And you ask yourself, is that better than the legendaries that are at 2.5? If we remember, when we go down to number 2, there was a chromatic dragon at 2.5. And then the next available things were 4. So if we go back to epic, and at 3, there are a couple of things available for cheaper than the legendaries. And I'm also looking at level rented. I already have some of those other cards that are here, so I don't need those ones. And I got them for a pretty decent rate. If you look here, a level 3 at 0.99, there is now nothing available at that rate. So people will come in here, look for low cost things, and they will rent them. And they may rent them for many days because they plan to stay at that league level. You can go to rare and you can up it to the silver league level, which I happen to know is 4. And you'll see there are a lot more available for rare cards. So people may be coming in here and renting out a lot more rare cards. So there you go. And then you go to commons and you'll see that it's even lower. So when I've got to change it to the silver league level, which is level 5. And I have quite a few level 5s and 3s from my bronze league day. And so I'm going to come in here and go, yes, I want a wave runner because I only have a level 3 and now I want a level 5. And yes, I want I never did play with the Undead Rex. I want the Magma Troll, and I want the Screeching Vulture. And this is all way less expensive at 0.6 than the legendaries that I was looking at 4.0. So we're talking 5 times cheaper. So we are going to maybe get the Herbalist, and you can rent multiple at a time. So we're going to rent 2.3 DEC a day. Also, some things on the screen to help you. We've got the normal stuff, name, edition, element, rarity, but you can also choose favorites. So we're going to look at only favorites and see if there's something that I tend to like. I already have these 3 favorites. My next biggest favorite for the commons is the Feasting Seaweed at 3. So I'm not interested in that one at 3. We're going to go to these ones, 2.4. I already have it. And then we're going to go to epic cards. So we could get a different summoner. And that's another thing you need to do is the summoner prices are going to be much more expensive. So what's the cheapest summoner right now? And that would be the Liana. And so I could consider getting that one. All right, I hope that I gave a lot of information that is helpful, first to the owners, and then second to the renters. Again, you can store money in the escrow for as long as you want. The owner or the renter can cancel at any point, but the delegation will remain for 24 hours. and then it will go immediately back into the rental market after the time has elapsed or if someone cancels. Now, if the owner cancels a rental, then he will have to relist his card. So they they can do a stop renting, and that means it's just they are no longer interested in renting, and then they can rent again. There are plenty of other random questions perhaps to ask. This was more or less the 20-minute introduction to rentals. I believe I've given most of the information that you may want. Keep an eye out on Peak Monsters as more and more tools are added. We are only about 2 days, well, 1.5 days after launch, and realistically, only about 5 or 6 programming days in. So there is many more things that we can do to add to this, including perhaps more level features, so I don't have to keep changing that number, that I know that I just want Silver League cards. And I mean, there's just an assortment of random other things to make life easier. You can request things yourself. And the end goal for rentals is for the owner to go in and select thousands of cards and say, please rent these for me at the standard fair market rate. And then we do it. And every day we get his card rented out with priority. And on the other side, the renter says, please rent me cards at the fair standard market rate. And that will be a market rate that will fluctuate based on good equations that are based on the market that regular markets tend to use. So that's the end goal, that it's one click and done, and people know that they're getting the best deal, the owners and the renters. And we believe everyone, if once we create this system in the future, everyone will gravitate towards that. In the meantime, perhaps for months, you will be using this sort of manual system, and the renters will soon have the ability to see exactly what stopped renting so that they can re-continue that. However, there's a possibility that they may find something, a different card that is cheaper, and they can go and look at the lowest rates. All right. Hope you enjoyed that, and have a good